So this is module 3, which is U for utilities. And utilities are where you can change the settings to your system, changes to the hardware, changes to programs, changes to the look and feel and the way that the whole thing operates. And this is in settings, which is off the start button where you select the gear wheel. So we're looking at Windows 10, the operating system, and the settings that we can apply to that. And this is the gear wheel, which gives you the settings, and all of these settings do different jobs. So we'll do a quick tour of this screen and have a look at some of the alternatives. So if I select System, then this allows me to make changes to the display. Select Display. I can change brightness. I can change the size of the text and the layout on this, the resolution of the screen, and whether it's landscape or portrait. So you have a number of options there. Sound will allow you to configure your sound input as the microphone and your sound output, which is speakers. This particular laptop has got built-in speakers, but that you can also connect external speakers if you want to improve the sound that you've got. What happens on notifications and actions, if you want to have a look at how you can stay focused on a particular application, that will allow you to do that. Power and sleep will let you configure how to manage your battery power on a laptop, which is important. So if there's no electricity power, then it will turn the screen off after 5 minutes on my system, or if it's plugged in, it will turn it off after 10 minutes, and these are all configurable. And then sleep, if the power goes off, then after 10 minutes, then your laptop will go to sleep completely, and then you'll have to log in again to wake it up. And if it's plugged in, then it will never go to sleep. So if I go to that, then I can select 1 hour, and that's probably a better setting than the one which it was set to as never. The battery option will tell you that my battery is 100% charged up because it's plugged into the mains, but you can always go to this and find out how much battery life you've got left, particularly if you're on the road or you're in a meeting and you haven't got any main supply connected to the laptop. Storage is about how much space you've got on your hard drives. Now my hard drive is split into two. The main part is called C:, the other part is called D:, and then I've got a recovery partition as well. And this is the way that my hard drive is split up. And I can use C and D. I cannot use this Q drive because the Lenovo, the maker of this particular laptop, have reserved that for its own uses, and that's a way of being able to recover your system if it crashes, which hopefully it won't do it to you, but it can do it, and it can always do it at a time when it's least convenient. But that gives you a way to get it back in to operational mode again. Tablet mode makes it look like an iPad. Multitasking allows various people to connect to that. Projecting, if you want to project to a PC from another device such as your phone or another PC, then you need to switch this on, and it will then allow you to connect and deliver the pictures to this screen from another device. So that's settings from the system. If I go to devices, then this is where you can configure the various bits of hardware that are connected to your system or part of your system. So Bluetooth and other devices is a way of being able to connect things like a mouse which has got a Bluetooth connector, a keyboard or a pen, and various other devices. Printers and scanners will allow you to add a printer, and printers these days are either connected using a cable to the USB port, or it can be over a wireless connection, and these are the printers that I've got set up on my particular system. As far as a mouse is concerned, then you can either use the mouse pad, which is part of the laptop, or in my case I'm using an external mouse, old-fashioned style, which again is connected to a USB port on the side of this particular laptop. And what it will allow you to do is to change the buttons around. So if you are left-handed, then you can select your primary button as either being left or right. So we talk about left click and right click. Right click is the one which gives you the properties of a particular part of your system. The left click is the action button to make it work. And then you can set a number of other options for your mouse. The touchpad is also configurable, particularly with regard to sensitivity. Typing is what it will have to do where you want autocorrect running, or if you want to just highlight misspelled words. And then typing, you can have predictive text switched on or switched off. You can configure a pen or a Windows link, and you can also have autoplay. Autoplay is when you open a file, for example with File Explorer, and then it will run straight away if it is a runnable file. And the USB is the Universal Serial Bus, which is a socket on the side of your laptop that you can plug various devices into. You can plug in a printer or a mouse or loudspeakers or any other devices. So this message will tell you when there's something being connected to your USB port. If we go back to then there is an option for connecting your particular phone. I don't connect my phone to this particular machine, but that's the way, this is the screen where you would configure that. There is then the network and the internet. I am currently connected to a router which is provided by my internet service provider. In this case it's Sky, and the name of the router is Sky 12981, so that when I have a look at what's available on the network to connect to, then that is the router that I will connect to. So if I clicked on show available networks, then the Sky router goes at the top, and to connect to that I need a password, and the password is on the back of the router. Just a quick comment on passwords. Passwords are always case sensitive, so if the password is in uppercase, then you must enter it as uppercase. If it's in lowercase, then enter it as lowercase. If it is a mixture of the two, then enter it exactly as it states it on the back of your router. So on the network screen, then you can configure your network settings, and this particular machine has got a hard wired network card in it that I can connect an Ethernet cable to, and it's also got a wireless card in it to connect to Wi-Fi. So on Wi-Fi, then it's the Sky 12891 router that I'm connected to. I can, if I wanted to, connect an Ethernet cable, and I'll show you a bit more of that later, but this is not connected at the moment. An Ethernet cable will always give you better connections than Wi-Fi, which when Wi-Fi gets very busy, if you're in a very heavy traffic neighborhood with lots of people downloading films and videos, etc., then it may be better to connect using an Ethernet cable, which can be up to 100 meters long, so that meets most requirements on locality. Dial-up is for a dial-up modem, which is pretty much out of fashion these days. VPN is a virtual private network, and that allows you to pretend to be somewhere other than actually where you are. So you're connecting over a secure network to another router, which could be on a different continent. Airplane mode is for use of your laptop on an aeroplane. Mobile hotspot is where you can actually share your internet connection with other devices using Bluetooth, and data usage will tell you how much data you've actually downloaded using the laptop, so you can actually control your Wi-Fi network usage. And proxy is if you're connecting to a proxy setup, which is a way of connecting to the internet through what's known as a proxy server. Personalization, we've had a look at some of these sections before, but this is where you can actually set the background on your desktop, and we put the picture of the mountains and the road and lakes on there. Colors, you can set the colors that you want to be running on your machine. How you can lock the machine, do you want to set that backdrop as the permanent one? Themes, we had a look at themes. You can actually go to the Microsoft Store and download themes, including a whole range of videos and images that you can run on your desktop. And then fonts, then you can set the default fonts, and Microsoft always have a range of fonts available. And on the start button, then you can show all the programs that are available, and on the taskbar then it is a way of managing the taskbar, so you can either lock it, you can automatically hide it. If you put that on, then it disappears, turn it off, then it comes back again. So these are ways of being able to manage the whole look and feel of your desktop. On apps and features, this will allow you to update or to disable and deinstall any applications that you've got on your system. So if I scroll down here, then I see all of these are applications which are running on this particular system, and if I pick one out of the blue, then I can, on screen display, then I can uninstall or modify that particular application or program. So it's this is where you would go if you want to configure any applications that you've got running on your system. Default apps is a list of the ones which are on the system and put there by Microsoft. Offline maps, then I've got nothing installed particularly on this particular one. Apps for websites, there may be some which will be installed on the system which will then help you to connect to, for example, Twitter in my case. Video playback is one which will then allow you to configure video settings to run on your system. And then at startup, then these are the applications which are listed off the start button. So if I go to the start button, then these are the applications which are listed under the startup section of settings. The next section is accounts, and I'm not going to go into there because it's got a lot of my personal settings in there, and that's where you can configure that and also connect other users who may be using this particular system. So I go to time and language, then here you can set the date and time that your particular system is operating. It can be set automatically so that if there's a change in time zone, then that will make it change into the system. The region and language is again something it's set for the United Kingdom, languages are English United States, but then English United Kingdom is put in there as an add-in, as a bit of a second thought. Microsoft have always done that. They seem to think that English from the United States is the default, and if you want English the UK style, then that becomes an add-in. And then speech, it's a way of being able to speak into your system and get it to record. The next one is gaming. Gaming, I don't think that too many of the people watching this particular video series are going to be into gaming, but that's where you can make settings if that's what you want. Then ease of access is one where certainly anyone with any kind of physical disability can then make changes to the system which will help you to improve your use of the laptop through lack of visibility or lack of hearing, and it will allow you to magnify and be able to improve the usability of this particular system. Cortana is what Microsoft called a digital assistant. I'm not sure that that is something of wide interest. It's not something which I get involved in, but it's there if you choose to use it. Privacy is how you can set your privacy options using advertising and whether websites can access your system or not. Then finally, update and security. Now this is actually quite an important one. At the top of the list is Windows Update. Now, I'm using Windows 10 Home System, and updates arrive automatically. I haven't got much control over that, and then when I come to either shut down or restart my system, then updates are there and they get automatically installed. You may not want that, particularly if you're on a Wi-Fi connection that you're having to pay for. So you can always check for updates, and if they're available, then it's better to do that on a Wi-Fi connection which has got unlimited bandwidth and unlimited download volumes, so that it's there and you can then configure that at a time that you select rather than the one that Microsoft selects. But updates can be for any changes to the operating system, any bugs that need to be ironed out, and it also includes all the other Microsoft products such as Microsoft Office. You can change the active hours for that, so mine is set to do updates between the hours of 8 and 5. It's an update history will let you know when the last changes were made to your system, and you can have a look and see what's new in that, what changes Microsoft have done, and then you can actually uninstall that. On the odd occasion you get some updates which don't work properly on your machine, so you'll then be able to go and rewind that back to a previous version of Windows, and that will then help you to that will uninstall the settings and get you back to a usable option. Windows Security is a Windows Defender which protects you against viruses and threats, and this is pretty much as good as any others. We'll do a separate section on virus checkers later. Backup is one where you need to actually save your system, and this works with an extra piece of hardware. There is no particular way of backing up and restoring to the same system, so you'll need to actually get hold of an external hard drive, usually of about 1 terabyte in size, plug it into the USB port, and then you can back up your entire system to that. So if your system crashes or you lose it, you can then restore that from the external hard drive, and you keep those two things separate. So the external hard drive you keep in the cupboard, and then when you're traveling around, you know that you've got a system back at home that will allow you to recover all of your settings. In troubleshooting, then you can troubleshoot all the various options, internet connections which can go down and you never quite sure what's the reason for that, if it's audio playing or your printer or Windows Update. All of these can be troubleshooting through this particular screen. And recovery is where you can reverse the backup. So if your system is not running correctly, you can recover it from a backup. And it means usually that if you're only starting out on your Windows journey, you'll need to enlist the help of someone else to help you to actually get that back. Activation is the product key. When you buy Windows 10 from Microsoft, they will issue you with a product key and you can change it through that particular option. Find your device, then it's Microsoft will, if you lose it, they will then configure the device so that it's unusable by someone who's misappropriated it. Then the last two are really for developers. So if we go back to settings, that's pretty much it, and that is the latest version of what used to be called Control Panel. So this is the end of Module 3, Utilities, where you've learned how to make changes to the settings on your Microsoft Windows 10 laptop. And the next module will Module 4, which is P for Programs and P for Passwords. So I'll see you in Module 4.